It's true that some things change as we get older. But if you're a woman over 40 and you're dealing with insomnia, brain fog, moodiness, and weight gain, you don't have to accept it as just another part of aging. And with Midi Health, you can get help and stop pushing through it alone. The experts at Midi understand that all these symptoms can be connected to the hormonal changes that happen around menopause, and Midi can help you feel more like yourself again. Many healthcare providers aren't trained to treat or even recognize menopause symptoms. Midi clinicians are menopause experts. They're dedicated to providing safe, effective, FDA-approved solutions for dozens of hormonal symptoms, not just hot flashes. Most importantly, they're covered by insurance. 91% of Midi patients get relief from symptoms within just 2 months. You deserve to feel great. Book your virtual visit today at joinmidi.com. That's joinmidi.com.
Hey, it's Dr. Phil back at you with the real story. This one probably impacts you directly. That is, if you're in the workforce, and especially if you are working from home. I'm talking about this current clash between those who work from home and are under a mandate to return to the office.
Get back to work!
Look, this is a big deal right now because it's predicted that 87% of companies are going to demand that their workers return to the office between now and the end of the year. And people aren't going to want to do that. So today I want to start with a simple question. When exactly did requiring an employee to show up at the office become a debate? Look, this tradition started a long time ago. Historians tell us that you can trace it all the way back to ancient Rome, with clerical office work becoming widespread in the 17th century. And since then, the office became central to American professional culture.
It's saying the server went down. Does anybody know that password? Because otherwise we can't do any work.
Synonymous with productivity, accountability, and collaborating, where people got together. They talked in the hall, they talked around the water cooler, they talked at break time and said, hey, I got a great idea. How about you? You have an idea? What do you think of my idea? Collaboration, stimulation, just exchange of ideas, going in a conference room, meeting, talking. Then came 2020.
Now to growing concerns about the deadly coronavirus officially hitting the U.S.
Everybody decided that we needed to shut things down and go home. That was supposedly protecting our workforce. I didn't think so at the time. As it turned out, no, that wasn't really necessary. And in the process, it wiped out thousands of businesses, ruined just so many jobs and careers. But it was supposed to be a temporary solution, right? It was never meant to be a permanent shift in our model. But yet here we are years later, and remote work has become the norm. Today, I'm going to give you the real story about all of this. Because in 2019, before COVID, and before somebody came in and said, oh my God, we all need to go home or die, remote workers comprised about 7% of the workforce. By 2020, 61.5%.
It's been 1 year since New York Governor Cuomo placed the state on pause, forcing businesses to shut down and many of us to pivot to working from home.
No surprise there, because on its face, looks like a great idea, right? Wake up in the morning, you can roll out of bed and be at work 30 seconds later, right? If you got to clock in or get on your computer and punch it up and say, I'm here, I'm ready. You can still be in your pajamas, hair sticking up if you had some, and you're ready to go. Got your house shoes on, haven't even brushed your teeth, but you're there, you're ready. Nobody is checking.
What did you do? Dad, holy...
Everything is going to happen by Zoom, and you've got time to get ready for that. You save the commute, you save the gas, you save the wardrobe. All of that stuff seems like a great idea, right? But did it turn out that way? Now, the pandemic's come and gone, but yet the rate of remote work is still multiple times higher than it was before. But here are the facts. So much of this that seemed like a good idea It was the shiny new thing, didn't turn out to have legs. Even though everybody still says, yeah, I like it, I don't want to go back to the office, I don't want to have to buy the gas or make the commute or get on the train or whatever. Productivity isn't working. People are working more hours and producing less. Even though people are fighting for it and saying, I want to work at home, they do say, I'm putting in more hours. I'm experiencing burnout. I'm feeling lonely. I'm feeling depressed. But their productivity is going down. Now, why would that be? Why would you be putting in more hours? Well, because it's hard to separate work from home when you're working at home. You used to have a dining room table. Now it's cluttered with all of your work and all of your papers. You used to walk out of work and say, well, that's done. I'm free. I can go to my kid's ball game. I can do whatever I want to do now because I left that behind. I'm into another phase of my life. Now they've all blurred together, and that's a problem. People are saying, I can't separate it anymore. I feel like I'm on all the time. I can't get away from it. I feel like I have to be available all the time, even if I don't have to be available all the time. So they're feeling closed in. They're feeling burned out. And when they do that, they get fatigued. They say they're thinking about it when they're sleeping. They're dreaming about it at night. And let me tell you, I don't care what you say, what you think. If you get up in the morning and take a shower and you brush your hair, you get dressed, you put on some clothes and get out of those pajamas and get out of those house shoes and you get all ready for the day, you have a different attitude than if you slump into the kitchen, you still got on your pajama bottoms and a t-shirt you slept in, and you don't groom yourself. You aren't going to be as sharp. You aren't going to be as productive. If you aren't interacting with team members and coworkers and you're not stimulating each other, you're not practicing your social skills, you're not requiring as much of yourself grooming-wise, social skills-wise, challenging yourself to be a meaningful part of a team, you're not going to be as productive. I'm sorry, you're just not. One of our leading generals in the United States said, first thing you ought to do every morning is get up and make your bed.
If you make your bed every morning, you will have accomplished the first task of the day. It will give you a small sense of pride, and it will encourage you to do another task and another.
Research is very clear. If you have an enthusiastic, positive attitude for the day, you have a smile on your face, your brain shifts gears. And when you go out into the world, what do? You put a face on it. You say, I'm going to put my best foot forward. I'm going to present myself as positively as I possibly can. When you do that, your brain wakes up. That positive attitude is projected. You have a spring in your step. You're leaning forward. You're ready to go. That doesn't happen if every day is the same. You never leave the house. You never get dressed. You never say, okay, I've got to put my best foot forward. There's a demarcation at that front door. There's a demarcation when you get in that car and pull out of that driveway. You require more of yourself psychologically. You know you do. And you discipline yourself. It's hard to discipline yourself at home. The TV's playing, Netflix is on, your kids come running in. Listen, I wrote a book back in 2004 called Family First. It was about work and life balance. And in there, I said, if you put more time in on your job, your family will suffer. If you put more time in on your family, your career will suffer. The idea is to find a balance. So I totally believe in work-life balance. And I tell everybody that has worked on Dr. Phil over the last 25 years, family first. If your child is having a piano recital at school, go to it. If your child is having a game and you can get there, get to that game. Because when they look out there, if you're there, they might just take it for granted. And if you cheer too loud, they'll probably roll their eyes and tell you don't do that. And they may not remember all the games or recitals or programs that you came to. But if they look out there and that chair's empty, Yeah, they'll remember that one, I promise you. So I tell my staff here, hey, family first. They don't abuse it, but we're not curing cancer here. We're making television. We're sharing information. Family first. So it's not a matter of that you have to dump your family and put work above all else. There is a balance there. But you will feel better. You will do better. You will produce more for your family if you're as productive as you can possibly be. And I can promise you, you will have more time if you aren't multitasking. If you stop multitasking, you can gain as much as 40% more efficiency in the things you do. And when you're at home and your phone is ringing, TV's on, kids are coming in, you're trying to run errands, the doorbell's ringing, you're multitasking. That's why productivity is dropping. I know that you fight going back to work. I don't think it's a smart thing to fight. I'm just telling you, I don't think it is. I think you're better when you get out and interact and go back and forth with your employees. And if you think that you aren't appreciated at your job, then find another job. But it's not going to work that you should resist. If you're not appreciated, then that's one thing. But going to work is not necessarily a bad thing. It's variety in your life. It's getting out. It's stimulating you. It's causing you to rise to the challenge. Working for home just simply is not the best thing. I made some notes. Stanford University did a study. They said that there was 10 to 20% lower productivity than in-person workers. A huge Asian IT firm said they found that hours of work increased by 18%, but productivity reduced 8 to 19%. That time spent coordinating activities, setting up all these meetings, it took too much time. Surveys among remote workers found that 32% struggle with maintaining adequate work-life balance because they got sucked in to trying to do too much. 55% reported working more hours remotely than when they were in the physical office, and 51% reported burnout. 40% reported unplugging after hours was being the biggest challenge because there was no division between work and home. It just simply doesn't work. And I can tell you that one of the things, and it shouldn't necessarily be the case, but 90% of CEOs said that they tended to look towards full-time in-house workers when they considered promotions rather than remote workers. Out of sight, out of mind. I don't want you to become a workaholic. I don't want you to put work as your number one priority. But I do want you to have an eye towards what's best for you, what's best for your mind, what's best for your productivity. It's not about screwing you over. It's about saying, I want an honest day's work for an honest day's pay, and you'll be more productive if you do it. And if you hate your work so bad that you just can't envision going there, it's not about returning to the office. It's about returning to the wrong office. That's the real story. Wherever you're getting the real story, make sure you subscribe and follow. I'll see you Monday. Your body is a system, and when it's running right, you feel focused, energized, in flow, but sometimes we struggle to find that flow state. Why? Because there's too much static in our system, brain fog, fatigue, and inflammation. The Echo Flask clears the static by infusing your water with molecular hydrogen, a natural science-backed gas that helps your body think sharper, recover faster, and run smoother. This is more than hydration. It's better focus, more energy, faster recovery, less internal stress, and longer-term benefits that keep you sharp. When your water works harder, your whole system does too. Find your flow state with the Echo Flask hydrogen water bottle and get an unlimited supply of hydrogen water at home and on the go. Visit echowater.com/Phil and use code Phil for 10% off. That's echowater.com/Phil. Enter code Phil to save 10%.
It's true that some things change as we get older. But if you're a woman over 40 and you're dealing with insomnia, brain fog, moodiness, and weight gain, you don't have to accept it as just another part of aging. And with Midi Health, you can get help and stop pushing through it alone. The experts at Midi understand that all these symptoms can be connected to the hormonal changes that happen around menopause, and Midi can help you feel more like yourself again. Many healthcare providers aren't trained to treat or even recognize menopause symptoms. Midi clinicians are menopause experts. They're dedicated to providing safe, effective, FDA-approved solutions for dozens of hormonal symptoms, not just hot flashes. Most importantly, they're covered by insurance. 91% of Midi patients get relief from symptoms within just 2 months. You deserve to feel great. Book your virtual visit today at joinmidi.com. That's joinmidi.com.